Chosen one, what I'm about to reveal will shatter every lie you've believed about being abandoned, will demolish every false narrative about walking this path alone, will completely destroy every deception that convinced you no one was there when you needed them most. Because right now, in this exact moment, something is about to happen in the next 24 hours that will prove beyond any shadow of doubt, beyond any room for question, beyond any possibility of denial, that you were never alone. Not for a single second, not for one solitary moment, not for even the briefest instant when you felt most isolated, most abandoned, most utterly forsaken by everyone and everything. The loneliness felt real. It felt crushing. It felt like a weight on your chest that wouldn't lift, a darkness in your soul that wouldn't brighten, a void in your heart that wouldn't fill. You looked around and saw no one. You reached out and touched no one. You called out and heard no one respond. The silence was deafening. The emptiness was overwhelming. The solitude was suffocating. You convinced yourself that you were walking through this valley completely alone, that you were fighting these battles without backup, that you were surviving these storms without shelter. You felt abandoned by people who promised they would stay. You felt forsaken by friends who swore they would be there. You felt deserted by family who claimed they would never leave. One by one, they disappeared. One by one, they faded away. One by one, they found reasons to distance themselves, excuses to step back, justifications to withdraw their presence, their support, their love. And their absence confirmed what your darkest fears whispered. You are alone. You are unloved. You are unwanted. You are walking this path by yourself. You felt abandoned by God. This is the deepest pain, the most profound wound, the most devastating belief. In your darkest moments, in your most desperate hours, in your most critical needs, you prayed and heard silence. You cried out and felt nothing. You pleaded and received no answer. The heavens seemed closed. The divine seemed distant. God seemed absent. And in that perceived absence, you concluded that even God had abandoned you, that even the divine had forsaken you, that even heaven had turned its back on you. But tonight you're going to discover something that will change everything you thought you knew about your journey. Tonight you're going to see evidence that will contradict every feeling of abandonment, that will challenge every belief about being alone, that will prove every perception of isolation was wrong. In the next 24 hours, something will happen, something will manifest, something will be revealed that will prove you were never alone, that will demonstrate you were always accompanied, that will validate you were constantly surrounded by forces you couldn't see, presences you couldn't perceive, beings you couldn't detect working on your behalf, fighting for you, protecting you, guiding you, providing for you. The proof is coming, not as vague feeling you have to interpret, not as subtle sign you have to decode, not as questionable coincidence you have to convince yourself means something, but as undeniable evidence, as tangible manifestation, as obvious demonstration that even skeptics will have to acknowledge, even doubters will have to recognize, even you in your deepest moments of unbelief will have to accept. The next 24 hours will prove you were never alone. Let me tell you what's going to happen in the next 24 hours that will prove this truth. First, you're going to receive confirmation about something you've been questioning. Something you've been unsure about, uncertain about, doubting about. A decision you need to make, a direction you need to take, a path you need to choose. You've been asking for guidance, seeking clarity, praying for confirmation. And the silence, the lack of obvious answer, the absence of clear direction, it made you feel alone in the decision, isolated in the uncertainty, abandoned to figure it out yourself. But confirmation is coming in the next 24 hours. Clear confirmation, obvious confirmation, undeniable confirmation. It will come through a conversation you weren't expecting, through information you weren't seeking, through a source you weren't considering. Someone will say exactly what you needed to hear. Something will happen that provides exactly the clarity you were seeking. Some circumstance will align that gives exactly the direction you were requesting. And when it happens, when that confirmation arrives, when that clarity manifests, you'll realize this isn't coincidence, this isn't random, this isn't luck. This is answer to prayer you thought went unheard. This is response to question you thought went unanswered. This is guidance you thought was absent. You'll understand in that moment that you weren't praying into void, that you weren't speaking to emptiness, that you weren't crying out to silence. Someone was listening. Someone was hearing. Someone was preparing to answer in perfect timing, in ideal way, through unexpected means. This confirmation will prove you weren't alone in your confusion, isolated in your uncertainty, abandoned in your questioning. Divine guidance was there all along, waiting for perfect moment to manifest, holding back until ideal time to reveal. Staying silent not because absent, but because timing wasn't right yet. But now, in next 24 hours, timing is perfect, moment is ideal, answer is ready. And confirmation coming will prove you were never alone in your need for direction, never abandoned in your search for clarity, never forsaken in your quest for guidance. Second, you're going to experience provision for something you've been lacking, something you needed but didn't have, something you required but couldn't access, something you were missing but couldn't obtain, money for a need you couldn't meet, resource for a situation you couldn't handle, supply for a demand you couldn't satisfy. You've been stressed about this lack, anxious about this scarcity, worried about this insufficiency. And the continued absence of provision, the persistent lack of supply, the ongoing scarcity of resources, it made you feel alone in your need, isolated in your lack, abandoned to fend for yourself. But provision is coming in the next 24 hours. Unexpected provision, surprising provision, undeniable provision. It will come from a source you didn't predict, through a channel you didn't expect, via a means you didn't anticipate. Money will appear that you weren't expecting. Resources will become available that you didn't know about. Supply will arrive that you didn't arrange. Someone will offer to help who you didn't ask. Something will work out that you didn't orchestrate. Some door will open that you didn't knock on. And when it happens, when that provision arrives, when that supply manifests, you'll realize this isn't good fortune. This isn't lucky break. This isn't fortunate timing. This is provision you prayed for but thought was denied. This is supply you asked for but thought was refused. This is resource you requested but thought was unavailable. You'll understand in that moment that you weren't praying to deaf ears, that you weren't asking empty universe, that you weren't requesting from absent God. Someone was arranging provision, coordinating supply, organizing resources in ways you couldn't see, through means you couldn't perceive, via channels you couldn't detect. This provision will prove you weren't alone in your need, isolated in your lack, abandoned in your scarcity. Divine supply was being arranged all along, waiting for perfect timing to manifest, being coordinated behind scenes you couldn't see, through connections you didn't know existed. But now, in next 24 hours, arrangement is complete, timing is perfect, provision is ready. And supply coming will prove you were never alone in your need, never abandoned in your lack, never forsaken in your scarcity. Third, you're going to receive protection from something you don't even know is threatening you. Something dangerous that's been approaching, some scheme that's been developing, some attack that's been planned against you. You're unaware of the threat, unconscious of the danger, oblivious to the attack being coordinated. But forces you can't see have been monitoring the situation, tracking the threat, preparing to neutralize the danger, to expose the scheme, to stop the attack before it reaches you. Protection will manifest in the next 24 hours. Visible protection, obvious protection, Undeniable protection, something that was supposed to happen won't happen. Someone who was planning something against you will be stopped. Some scheme that was being coordinated will be exposed. You'll narrowly avoid something you didn't know you needed to avoid. You'll escape something you didn't realize you needed to escape. You'll be spared from something you didn't understand was threatening you. And when it happens, when that protection manifests, when that deliverance occurs, you might not even fully realize what you were protected from, what you were delivered from, what you were saved from. But you'll see evidence of divine intervention, you'll witness supernatural protection, you'll recognize cosmic defense. Something will happen that makes you realize you are being watched over. You are being guarded. You are being protected by forces beyond your awareness, by presences beyond your perception, by beings beyond your detection. This protection will prove you weren't alone in your vulnerability, isolated in your exposure, abandoned to face dangers by yourself. Divine protection was operating all along, watching over you constantly, guarding you continuously, defending you perpetually against threats you couldn't see, dangers you couldn't detect, attacks you couldn't perceive. But now, in next 24 hours, protection will become visible. Intervention will become obvious, defense will become apparent, and protection manifesting will prove you were never alone in danger, never abandoned in vulnerability, never forsaken in exposure. Fourth, you're going to connect with someone who will feel like divine appointment. Someone who will appear at exactly the right time, with exactly the right words, offering exactly the right support. This isn't old friend reconnecting. This isn't family member reaching out. This is someone new, someone unexpected, someone who seems to show up out of nowhere with exactly what you need at exactly the moment you need it. This connection will happen in next 24 hours. Seemingly random connection. Apparently coincidental encounter. Supposedly chance meeting. You'll meet this person in unexpected place through unusual circumstance via surprising means. A conversation that starts casually will become deeply meaningful. An encounter that seems random will prove divinely orchestrated. A meeting that appears coincidental will reveal supernatural arrangement. And when it happens, when this connection forms, when this encounter occurs, you'll feel it. You'll sense that this isn't random, that this isn't coincidence, that this isn't chance. This person will say something you desperately needed to hear, will offer something you critically needed to receive, will provide something you urgently needed to obtain. The timing will be too perfect to dismiss. The relevance will be too precise to ignore. The impact will be too significant to overlook. This connection will prove you weren't alone in your need for human support, isolated in your requirement for encouragement, abandoned in your desire for connection. Divine forces were arranging this meeting all along, coordinating this encounter for perfect timing, preparing this person to cross your path at exact moment when you most need what they carry, when you're most ready to receive what they offer, when timing is most ideal for impact they'll make. Fifth, you're going to discover something that's been working in your favor without your knowledge. Some situation that's been resolving itself behind scenes, some problem that's been solving itself without your input, some issue that's been correcting itself beyond your awareness. You've been worried about this situation, stressed about this problem, anxious about this issue. You've been trying to fix it, working to resolve it, attempting to correct it. And your efforts seemed futile, your work seemed ineffective, your attempts seemed unsuccessful. Discovery will happen in next 24 hours. Surprising discovery, shocking discovery, undeniable discovery. You'll find out that while you were stressing, situation was resolving. While you were worrying, problem was solving. While you were anxious, issue was correcting. Forces you couldn't see were working on your behalf. People you don't even know were advocating for you. Circumstances beyond your control were aligning in your favor. And when it happens, when this discovery occurs, when this revelation manifests, you'll be amazed. You'll be shocked that so much was happening that you didn't know about. that so many forces were working that you couldn't see, that so much progress was being made that you couldn't detect. You'll realize that while you thought nothing was happening, everything was happening. While you believed you were fighting alone, armies were fighting with you. While you assumed you were working without help, supernatural assistance was operating constantly. This discovery will prove you weren't alone in your battles, isolated in your struggles, abandoned to fight by yourself. Divine forces were working all along, operating behind scenes you couldn't see, moving pieces you couldn't perceive, arranging outcomes you couldn't orchestrate. But now, in next 24 hours, hidden work will become visible, secret operations will become apparent, behind-scenes activity will become obvious. And discovery coming will prove you were never alone in your fight, never abandoned in your struggle, never forsaken in your battle. Sixth, you're going to experience breakthrough in something that's been blocked, something you've been working towards, something you've been pursuing, something you've been trying to accomplish. Door that's been closed, opportunity that's been unavailable, path that's been blocked. You've been pushing, trying, working to create breakthrough. And the continued resistance, the persistent blocking, the ongoing closure, it made you feel alone in your pursuit, isolated in your efforts, abandoned to create your own opportunities. Breakthrough will happen in next 24 hours. Sudden breakthrough, unexpected breakthrough, undeniable breakthrough. That door will open, that opportunity will become available, that path will clear. Not because you finally pushed hard enough, not because you eventually worked smart enough, not because you ultimately tried long enough, but because divine timing arrived, because supernatural coordination aligned, because cosmic forces removed obstacles that were keeping door closed, blocking opportunity, preventing path from opening. And when it happens, when breakthrough manifests, when door opens, you'll realize this couldn't have happened earlier. This wouldn't have happened without divine intervention. This didn't happen because of your effort alone. You'll understand that breakthrough was being prepared all along. Opportunity was being arranged constantly. Path was being cleared continuously. You just couldn't see the work being done behind scenes, couldn't perceive the obstacles being removed beyond your awareness, couldn't detect the arrangements being made outside your perception. This breakthrough will prove you weren't alone in your efforts, isolated in your work, abandoned to create opportunities yourself. Divine forces were working with you all along, preparing breakthrough while you were preparing yourself, arranging opportunity while you were developing readiness, clearing path while you were building capacity. But now, in next 24 hours, preparation is complete, arrangement is finished, clearing is done. And breakthrough coming will prove you were never alone in your efforts, never abandoned in your work, never forsaken in your pursuit. Seventh, you're going to receive validation for something you've been doubting. Something about yourself, something about your calling, something about your purpose. Gift you questioned was real, ability you doubted was genuine, calling you wondered was authentic. You've been uncertain about this aspect of yourself, insecure about this dimension of your identity, doubtful about this element of your assignment. And the lack of external validation, the absence of obvious confirmation, the scarcity of tangible proof, it made you feel alone in your knowing, isolated in your certainty, abandoned to believe without evidence. Validation will come in next 24 hours. Clear validation. Powerful validation. Undeniable validation. Someone will recognize your gift who you didn't tell about it. Someone will acknowledge your ability who you didn't demonstrate to them. Someone will confirm your calling who you didn't share with them. The validation will come from credible source, from respected voice, from authoritative person. And it won't be generic encouragement or vague affirmation. It will be specific recognition, precise acknowledgement, detailed confirmation of exactly what you've been doubting, exactly what you've been questioning, exactly what you've been uncertain about. And when it happens, when validation arrives, when confirmation manifests, you'll realize God knew you needed this. Divine forces understood your doubt. Supernatural intelligence recognized your uncertainty. And validation being sent isn't coincidence, isn't random, isn't chance. This is divinely orchestrated confirmation, supernaturally arranged validation, cosmically coordinated affirmation arriving at exact moment when you most need it, through exact source who will most impact you, in exact way that will most strengthen you. This validation will prove you weren't alone in your doubt, isolated in your uncertainty, abandoned to believe without confirmation. Divine forces were preparing validation all along, arranging confirmation for perfect timing, coordinating affirmation through ideal source. But now, in next 24 hours, preparation is complete, timing is perfect, source is ready. And validation coming will prove you were never alone in your questioning, never abandoned in your doubt, never forsaken in your uncertainty. 8th, you're going to witness evidence of answered prayer you thought was ignored. Prayer you prayed weeks ago, months ago, maybe even years ago. Prayer you poured your heart into, prayer you cried desperate tears over, prayer you believed with everything in you. And when answer didn't come quickly, when response didn't arrive immediately, when manifestation didn't happen rapidly, you concluded prayer wasn't heard, request wasn't received, petition wasn't acknowledged. Evidence will appear in next 24 hours. Tangible evidence, visible evidence, undeniable evidence. That prayer you thought was ignored, it was heard. That request you believed was denied, it was received. That petition you assumed was rejected, it was acknowledged. Answer is coming now not because prayer was recently prayed, but because divine timing has now arrived for manifestation. Supernatural coordination has now aligned for delivery. Cosmic forces have now arranged for answer to appear, and when it happens, when evidence manifests, when answer arrives, you'll connect it back to that prayer, you'll remember that request, you'll recognize that petition, and you'll realize God was working on this all along. Divine forces were arranging this constantly. Supernatural power was preparing this continuously. The delay wasn't denial. The wait wasn't rejection. The silence wasn't absence. Divine timing was simply waiting for perfect moment. Supernatural coordination was simply arranging ideal circumstances. Cosmic forces were simply preparing optimal conditions for answer that will bless you maximally, impact you profoundly, transform you completely. This evidence will prove you weren't praying to void, crying out to emptiness, petitioning deaf universe. Your prayers were heard all along, every single one. Your requests were received constantly, each and every one. Your petitions were acknowledged continuously, without exception. But answers come in divine timing. Manifestation happens in supernatural coordination. Delivery occurs in cosmic arrangement. And now, in next 24 hours, timing is right. Coordination is aligned. Arrangement is complete. And evidence coming will prove you were never alone in your praying, never abandoned in your petitioning, never forsaken in your requesting. 9th, you're going to feel peace that surpasses understanding about something that's been tormenting you. Situation that's been causing anxiety, circumstance that's been generating fear, reality that's been producing worry. You've been unable to rest about this, unable to relax concerning this, unable to find peace regarding this. The continued turmoil, the persistent anxiety, the ongoing fear, it made you feel alone in your distress, isolated in your worry, abandoned to manage your anxiety by yourself. Peace will come in next 24 hours. Supernatural peace. Unexplainable peace, undeniable peace, not because situation resolves completely, not because circumstance changes dramatically, not because reality transforms entirely, but because divine peace that surpasses understanding will settle over your spirit, will calm your soul, will quiet your mind. Peace that doesn't make logical sense given circumstances, peace that isn't reasonable considering situation, peace that isn't natural regarding reality. And when it happens, when this peace arrives, when this calm descends, you'll know, this isn't something I created. This isn't something I generated. This isn't something I manufactured. This is gift from beyond me. This is provision from outside me. This is blessing from above me. Divine presence bringing peace. Supernatural power generating calm, cosmic force creating quietness in storm that hasn't stopped but somehow no longer disturbs you. In situation that hasn't changed but somehow no longer torments you. In circumstance that hasn't resolved but somehow no longer controls you. This peace will prove you weren't alone in your turmoil, isolated in your distress, abandoned to manage anxiety yourself. Divine presence was with you all along, even in storm, even in chaos, even in turmoil. You just couldn't feel presence because anxiety was too loud, couldn't sense presence because fear was too overwhelming, couldn't perceive presence because worry was too consuming. But now, in next 24 hours, divine peace will override anxiety, supernatural calm will overcome fear. Cosmic quietness will supersede worry, and peace coming will prove you were never alone in turmoil, never abandoned in distress, never forsaken in anxiety. 10th, you're going to recognize pattern of divine protection throughout your entire journey. Something will happen in next 24 hours that will trigger recognition, that will spark remembrance, that will initiate review of your entire path. And you'll begin seeing clearly what you couldn't see before. Every close call you survived, someone was protecting you. Every narrow escape you experienced, someone was guiding you. Every disaster you avoided, someone was steering you. Every danger you dodged, someone was warning you. Every trap you sidestepped, someone was alerting you. Recognition will dawn in next 24 hours. Powerful recognition. Overwhelming recognition, undeniable recognition. You'll look back at moment you almost made terrible decision, but something stopped you. Moment you nearly went in wrong direction, but something redirected you. Moment you were about to trust wrong person, but something warned you. Moment you almost accepted wrong opportunity, but something blocked you. And you'll realize that something was someone. That feeling was divine guidance. That hesitation was supernatural protection. That interruption was cosmic intervention. And when it happens, when recognition dawns, when pattern emerges, you'll be overwhelmed with gratitude, overcome with emotion, astounded by realization. You'll see clearly that you've never been alone, not for one moment, not for 1 second, not for one instant of your entire journey. Divine presence was always there, supernatural forces were constantly active, cosmic protection was perpetually operating. You couldn't see it because you were too close to see pattern, too involved to perceive protection, too focused on immediate to recognize continuous. This recognition will prove you weren't alone in your journey, isolated in your path, abandoned to navigate by yourself. Divine guidance was directing all along, supernatural wisdom was advising constantly. Cosmic intelligence was steering continuously. Every step you took, you were guided. Every decision you made, you were counseled. Every direction you chose, you were influenced. Not in ways that removed your free will, but in ways that protected your destiny. Not through force that eliminated your choice, but through guidance that preserved your purpose. Not via control that negated your agency, but through wisdom that safeguarded your calling. Now let me tell you how to position yourself for these manifestations in the next 24 hours. First, pay attention. Be alert. Stay aware. These proofs won't necessarily come with announcements. These manifestations won't arrive with fanfare. These demonstrations won't appear with drama. Some will be obvious, some will be subtle, some will be dramatic, some will be quiet. Some will be immediate, some will be delayed until you recognize them later. Pay attention to conversations, to encounters, to circumstances, to thoughts, to feelings, to opportunities, to timing. The confirmation might come through casual conversation you almost dismissed. The provision might arrive through offer you almost refused. The protection might manifest through delay you almost resented. The connection might form through interruption you almost ignored. The discovery might happen through information you almost overlooked. The breakthrough might occur through opportunity you almost missed. The validation might arrive through person you almost avoided. The evidence might appear through circumstance you almost dismissed. The peace might descend through moment you almost rushed through. The recognition might dawn through memory you almost suppressed. Pay attention. Be alert. Stay aware. God is speaking. Divine is moving. Supernatural is acting. And if you're distracted, if you're unconscious, if you're unaware, you might miss evidence, you might overlook proof, you might dismiss demonstration. Not because it didn't happen, but because you weren't watching for it, weren't listening for it, weren't receptive to it. Second, expect, anticipate, believe. Don't just hope these things might happen. Don't just wish these things could happen. Expect these things will happen. Anticipation creates receptivity. Expectation generates awareness. Belief produces recognition. When you expect something, you watch for it. When you anticipate something, you're alert to it. When you believe something, you recognize it when it appears. Expect confirmation to come. Anticipate provision to arrive. Believe protection to manifest. Expect connection to form. Anticipate discovery to occur. Believe breakthrough to happen. Expect validation to arrive. Anticipate evidence to appear. Believe peace to descend. Expect recognition to dawn. Your expectation positions you for reception. Your anticipation prepares you for manifestation. Your belief readies you for demonstration. Third, receive, accept, embrace. When manifestations come, when proofs appear, when demonstrations occur, receive them. Don't dismiss them as coincidence. Don't minimize them as luck. Don't explain them away as chance. Receive them as divine intervention. Accept them as supernatural provision. Embrace them as cosmic orchestration. Let them impact you. Let them transform you. Let them strengthen your faith. Receive the confirmation as answer to prayer. Accept the provision as divine supply. Embrace the protection as supernatural defense. Receive the connection as orchestrated appointment. Accept the discovery as revealed work. Embrace the breakthrough as prepared opportunity. Receive the validation as confirmed truth. Accept the evidence as answered petition. Embrace the peace as granted gift. Receive the recognition as awakened awareness. Fourth, remember, document, record. When these things happen, when these manifestations occur, when these proofs appear, remember them. Document them, record them, write them down. Tell someone about them, create memorial of them. Because memory fades, details blur, experiences lose clarity over time. And you'll need these memories later. You'll need these documentations eventually. You'll need these records ultimately. You'll need them when doubt returns, when fear resurfaces, when anxiety reappears. You'll need them when circumstances suggest you're alone again, when feelings indicate you're abandoned again, when situations imply you're forsaken again. You'll need to remember that moment when confirmation came, that time when provision arrived, that instance when protection manifested. You'll need to recall that day when connection formed, that moment when discovery occurred, that instant when breakthrough happened. You'll need to review that time when validation arrived, that moment when evidence appeared, that instant when peace descended, that experience when recognition dawned. Remember, document, record. These next 24 hours will give you evidence you'll need repeatedly, proof you'll reference continuously, demonstration you'll recall frequently throughout your journey. Don't lose these memories, don't dismiss these experiences, don't minimize these manifestations. They're gifts, they're treasures, they're precious validations of divine presence, supernatural activity, cosmic involvement in your life. Finally, worship, thank, praise. When these manifestations occur, when these proofs appear, when these demonstrations happen, respond with worship, with thanksgiving, with praise. Not because God needs your worship, not because divine requires your thanks, not because supernatural demands your praise, but because worship transforms you, thanksgiving changes you, praise elevates you. Worship shifts your perspective, thanksgiving adjusts your attitude, praise alters your consciousness. Worship acknowledges you're not alone, thanksgiving expresses gratitude for presence, praise celebrates divine involvement. When you worship, you declare God's faithfulness. When you thank, you acknowledge divine provision. When you praise, you celebrate supernatural activity. And this declaration, this acknowledgement, this celebration, it reinforces truth in your spirit. It strengthens faith in your soul. It deepens certainty in your consciousness. Worship, thank, praise. Not just in next 24 hours, but beyond. Not just when manifestations occur, but continuously. Not just when you see evidence, but perpetually. Because God is faithful whether you see evidence or not. Divine is present whether you feel presence or not. Supernatural is active whether you perceive activity or not. The next 24 hours will prove what's always been true. You were never alone. So walk into these next 24 hours with expectation, with anticipation, with faith. Watch for confirmations. Look for provision. Notice protection. Recognize connections. Discover hidden work. Receive breakthrough. Accept validation. Acknowledge evidence. Embrace peace. Awaken to recognition. The next 24 hours will prove you were never alone. Every prayer was heard. Every tear was seen. Every struggle was witnessed. Every battle was supported. Every step was guided. Every decision was counseled. Every danger was averted. Every need was provided for. Every purpose was protected. Every destiny was safeguarded. You were never alone. You were never abandoned. You were never forsaken. Divine presence was always there. Supernatural forces were constantly active. Cosmic protection was perpetually operating. Angels were assigned to you. Ancestors were watching over you. Divine wisdom was guiding you. Supernatural power was protecting you. Cosmic intelligence was directing you. You couldn't see them, you couldn't perceive them, you couldn't detect them. But they were there, always there, forever there, eternally there. And in the next 24 hours, you'll see evidence, you'll witness proof, you'll experience demonstration. Not because divine presence suddenly appeared, not because supernatural forces suddenly activated, not because cosmic protection suddenly engaged, but because divine timing has now arrived for you to see what was always there, to perceive what was always active, to recognize what was always operating. The next 24 hours will prove you were never alone. Watch for it, expect it, receive it, remember it, worship for it. And let this proof transform how you see your past, how you experience your present, how you anticipate your future. You were never alone. You are not alone now. You will never be alone. This is truth. This is reality. This is promise. And the next 24 hours will prove it beyond any doubt, beyond any question, beyond any possibility of denial. Walk forward knowing you're accompanied, you're supported, you're protected, you're guided, you're provided for, you're loved, you're valued, you're cherished by forces beyond your comprehension, by presences beyond your perception, by beings beyond your detection. You were never alone. The next 24 hours will prove it. This is your testimony. This is your truth. This is your reality. You were never alone.